For nearly 30 years, Comics Connection has served as central Pennsylvania's pop culture mecca, with locations in York and Mechanicsburg. But now, you don't have to live in Pennsylvania to shop there. The brand new Comics Connection online store features a wide variety of back issues, graphic novels, games, and much more. Find out why thousands of customers, including such celebrities as Mike Hawthorne, J.F. Gonzalez, Mary SanGiovanni, and Brian Keene, have made Comics Connection their #1 store to shop at over the years. Check out the new online store at comicsconnection.com. That's COMIX connection.com.
That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange eons a podcast shall rise. H.P. Lovecraft, Weird Tales, Ramsey Campbell, Cthulhu, Laird Barron, Silent Hill, Brian Lumley, Dagon. There's something sinister out there in the cosmos, and the tendrils run deep throughout the universe. Only one woman dares to traverse the web. Mary SanGiovanni, who once again is up to cosmic shenanigans.
Hi folks, and welcome to Cosmic Shenanigans. This is Mary SanGiovanni, up to shenanigans once again of cosmic proportions. I am today going to talk about a graphic novel adaptation of a number of cosmic horror short stories from the grandfather himself. It's called the Lovecraft Anthology Volume 1, and it's edited by Dan Lockwood. It features adaptations written by Dan Lockwood himself, Ian Edgington, Rob Davis, David Hine, Leah Moore, and John Reppion, and illustrations by Disraeli, Shane Ivan Oakley, I.N.J. Culbert, Mark Stafford, Lee Gallagher, David Hartman, and Alice Duke. It was first published in 2011 by Self-Made Hero in London, and as I mentioned, it features a number of Lovecraftian favorites. The stories adapted include Call of Cthulhu, The Haunter of the Dark, which listeners may recall is my favorite Lovecraft story of all time, The Dunwich Horror, and The Color Out of Space, as well as The Shadow over Innismouth, The Rats on the Walls, and Dagon. Now, an interesting issue arises when trying to adapt Lovecraft to a graphic novel format, at least in my mind. Lovecraft was very wordy and very light on actual dialogue in a lot of his stories. So, a lot of the story adaptation needs to fit somewhere between reasonable length captions and illustration. If you're too wordy or direct in your adaptation, then the captions nearly swallow the images. If you're too light, then a lot of the story told through the subtleties of description is lost. Too vague in your art, and the main avenue of understanding in this medium is severely compromised. Now, I think this anthology just does an admirable job of trying to strike the right balance and to bring to vivid visual life the horrors that Lovecraft mentioned as indescribable. There are blended panels where one panel, basically flows into the next one. There are, very vivid illustrations that bridge some of the gaps in, of suggestion that Lovecraft leaves vague. There's half splash pages which illustrate both in size and content the cosmic scope of horror that Lovecraft is so famous for. And the captions, meanwhile, both endeavor to capture the flavor of Lovecraft's language and style while simplifying enough to fit the story to a reasonable length. It's a challenge, Different writers in this anthology vary their techniques here. Some using longer, more traditionally Lovecraftian captioning with less panels so that the panels could be bigger, while others neatly summarize the basic gist of what Lovecraft was saying. The art in some places is, because it's different illustrators, you've got very realistic art, down to very stylized, cartoon kind of art that sort of is, that works for, I think, maybe the more grotesque aspects of the different stories. Editor Dan Lockwood mentions in his intro that he hopes this graphic novel anthology will serve as a good introduction to Lovecraft for those who have never read him. And I think he absolutely achieved this goal. As Wired magazine put it, this anthology is a remarkable primer to Lovecraft's strange and eldritch world. And what I think of that is I think that basically he captured the essence of these stories. Dan Lockwood and the other writers and illustrators, they captured the basic essence. So it does serve as a good primer if you've never read Lovecraft, into probably some of the more well-known stories of his that serve as a foundation for a lot of his mythos. What struck me about the art is something I've mentioned on the show before, but I feel it bears repeating. And I think we get this particularly in some of the more visual media that we cover on the show. The graphic, sometimes gory nature, and sometimes this is only even in the background details of stories, reminds readers that Lovecraft's work was a lot more visceral and violent than a superficial read, particularly given his old-fashioned and gentlemanly language, might suggest. That cosmic horror can range from quiet to extreme horror is often overlooked, I think, because of that language. And because a lot of cosmic horror often seeks to explore certain philosophical and esoteric ideas that are often present in quiet horror, that we recognize as being present in quiet horror, but that I'm not sure a lot of people understand is also often present in splatterpunk, if not always in extreme horror itself. However, a common theme of cosmic horror literature is that humans are insignificant, inferior playthings to far, far greater forces than can even be comprehended. And examples of that are often shown in the utter subjugation and subsequent distortion of the human form. All of this to say that the Lovecraft Anthology graphic novel doesn't shy away from the grotesque, or the progression of the grotesque, as is most notable in the color out of space and the rats on the walls. The Pickman-esque nightmares of monsters from the deep are present in each of the stories. But it's often the background details, which are, in essence, the tragic, the horrific, and the grotesque as a result of current or past connection to the main horror, which really drives the point home. I've always believed that Lovecraft usually left the horror with the great reveal of the monster, and that modern cosmic horror's lasting contribution, even in direct adaptations of Lovecraft's work, lay more with the aftermath of the reveal, and the little moments happening in the background are off to the side. All the little horrors and tragedies and collateral damage as a result of the cosmic horror unfolding. Ironically, it's the little moments which reinforce the significance or reframe the significance of the universe only through our perspective of it, that underline the cosmic scope of horror beyond our control as individuals, or even as a species, to stop or even slow it down. I enjoyed this anthology. I think it was done with real appreciation and understanding of the source material, and in my mind, as I mentioned before, captured the true essence of horror in Lovecraft's work and the lasting impact that these stories are so well remembered for. So that's basically it. I would recommend picking it up if you can get it. It's a lot of fun. It's got all the great cosmic horror Lovecraftian stories and it is a volume 1, which suggests that there may be more coming. So I look forward to seeing volume 2 and on and how those stories are handled in the future. If you enjoy Cosmic Shenanigans, you might also enjoy another show I co-host, The Horror Show with Brian Keene. Both of them are available on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, and all other platforms via the Brian Keene Network. We are now on the Brian Keene Network. Also, thanks to engineer Matt Wilderson. Check out his pop culture and video game podcast, Grindcast, or his latest book, which does include a lot of cosmic horror.
Hi, General Manager Brian Keene interrupting here. It's actually the Brian Keene Radio Network.
My apologies. It's the Brian Keene Radio Network.
It's all about the branding. Sam.
It's all about the branding.
Speaking of branding, back to engineer Matt Willison and his books.
And Matt Wildeson's new book, if you'd like to pick it up, is Horrors Untold Volume 2 and does feature some cosmic horror. If you'd like to advertise on Cosmic Shenanigans, please contact Matt at flawnoton@yahoo.com. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to bringing you more shenanigans next week. Bye!
For nearly 30 years, Comics Connection has served as Central Pennsylvania's pop culture mecca, with locations in York and Mechanicsburg. But now, you don't have to live in Pennsylvania to shop there. The brand new Comics Connection online store features a wide variety of back issues, graphic novels, games, and much more. Find out why thousands of customers, including such celebrities as Mike Hawthorne, J.F. Gonzalez, Mary SanGiovanni, and Brian Keene, have made Comics Connection their #1 store to shop at over the years. Check out the new online store at comicsconnection.com. That's COMIX connection.com.
Cosmic Shenanigans is a production of the Brian Keene Radio Network. You can listen to this episode and all previous episodes for free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube, Google Play Music, and wherever else podcasts are available. Cosmic Shenanigans is written and produced by Mary SanGiovanni. Our theme music is by Xander Harris. Our engineer is Matt Wilderson. Check out his books on Amazon.com. If you enjoyed this show, you might enjoy our other podcasts, The Horror Show with Brian Keene, Defenders Dialogue, and Grindcast. To advertise on Cosmic Shenanigans, visit briankeene.com and click Podcasts.